I told you that there was a magic mantram that could fix anything, that could alter anything, that could create miracles in your life. You'd probably want to know what that is. When I first discovered this magical mantram, I was floored at its effectiveness and how well it worked. When I remembered to employ these magic words, I was able to just almost sit back and watch as everything got put back into place where it had fallen apart. It seemed almost too good to be true. In fact, as the ego does, when I first discovered this and I saw how effective it wasn't long before I forgot to use this tool, forgot completely that I had such power available to me. It was like Aladdin's lamp. And the lamp, if you don't shine it, it doesn't do anything. Or if you throw it in your storage unit, you won't get any kind of effect from it because you're not bothering to use it or you're forgetting that you have it. So once I share this technique with you, don't be surprised if your ego tends to forget about it because it's a direct threat to your ego. You'll notice that you can use this, and as you use this technique, your ego loses all power over you. It starts to dissolve because of the ego's own survival instinct. It does everything that it can to distract you. But remember, that's the ego's only power, is the power to distract. And if you don't allow yourself to be distracted, if you don't allow your ego to influence your decision-making, there's nothing it can do. It has no power over you. So here's the mantra. I'm going to share it with you and share with you some easy applications of it. And then we will discuss possibly why it works as well as it does. The mantra is, I'm watching. Now, I apostrophe M, is a contraction of two words, I am, which is the name of God. And so if you want to use the mantra as I am watching, that's fine. But the way I use it is I'm watching. While you're meditating, use that as an internal mantram, similar to how we do with the words blessed be in the Magic Minute. You can sync it up with your breath if you'd like, where the word I'm or I am is on the inhale and watching is on the exhale. Anytime your mind wanders, bring it back to the mantram. Its greatest power comes in the field. Say you're having a crisis, a major crisis, whatever it is. If you can remind yourself to come back to those words, I'm watching, in the midst of the crisis, if you can think I'm watching and you can think it over and over again, you'll notice that you'll get through the crisis with amazing speed. It's almost as if there's a power that overtakes you and takes care of whatever needs to be taken care of easily, and that the crisis passes instantaneously. If you're involved in an argument, everything gets resolved amazingly just by coming back to this simple phrase, I'm watching. You can find so many applications for this out in your life as things are happening. And the more frequently you can come back to the phrase in the midst of your day-to-day experiences, the more quickly you'll notice things changing for you. You do nothing more than come back to the words, I'm watching. When you come back to those words, notice things resolving and working out in a most beautiful way. And we call this the divine design. When you come back to that mantra, you are aligning your thoughts and your energies with the divine design. And you don't have to do anything but just allow that divine design to manifest for you. In whatever way it does, it's going to happen in ways that you couldn't come up with. Many times people in the midst of experiencing miraculous change like that, sometimes it can be frightening because we've heard about such things, we've wanted such things, but when such things start to occur for us, it can be somewhat frightening. And it's important to understand that the power you are evoking with the words I'm watching will not allow for your fear to be elevated. The divine design's current of power is not interested in increasing your fear. Anything that will increase your fear will not be included. If you can cultivate an attitude of indifference and just observe as this power works on your behalf without having much reaction, especially any kind of fearful reaction, you are giving it right of way. Whereas if you are afraid of what's happening, you'll notice that the effectiveness of this technique is at least temporarily attenuated until you can get back into that feeling of fearlessness. It's interesting that this kind of technique is ages old. However, it's fairly recently, within the last 100 plus years or so, that scientists have understood that this phenomenon exists. And they've named it the observer's effect. Concept of the observer's effect in quantum physics comes into play when we discuss the behavior of particles at a subatomic level. Quantum systems exist in a state called superposition, meaning that they can be in multiple states at once until measured. When an observer conducts a measurement, the act of observing causes the collapse of the superposition into a single state, and that defines the outcome of the observation. The phenomenon is illustrated famously by what was called the double slit experiment, where particles like electrons demonstrate wave-like behavior and can produce interference patterns when not observed. However, when measured, they behave like particles. And this illustrates how the act of observation affects the outcome. And this one little discovery challenges the entire classical understanding of reality and raised profound questions about the nature of existence. The infinite has no limits in its ability to observe and understand. So when we're saying, I'm observing, we are giving right of way to the infinite intelligence to observe. And the observation of the infinite through us is then given right of way to allow for the appropriate changes necessary in order that the divine design manifest, rather than the interference that we have been experiencing. We could say that our problems are a result of interference, whereas allowing the infinite to observe through us dissolves the interference, changes our experience. When you say, I'm watching, you could say, I'm observing. You could say that, but I like I'm watching. It's sort of ominous to the ego when I'm in the middle of a problem and I can just say, I'm watching. And that's all I say. My job is not to impose my will upon the situation when I'm using this technique. It's simply to say, I'm watching. And you can say it again and again and again. And sometimes it's important to just keep saying, I'm watching, I'm watching, I'm watching. Internally, verbally, doesn't matter. Whatever's the most powerful for you. And then you observe as the observation of the infinite through you takes over and starts to change things, starts to alter reality before your eyes. And like I said, as this happens, it can seem overwhelming if you're not used to that kind of transformation, which can sometimes bring up fear. And when that fear is activated, you'll notice that the changes stop happening so quickly because the infinite will never increase your fear. And so our job then becomes not only to stay on the mantra, I'm watching, but also to fear nothing. It's our job to allow. It's our job to not have a reaction to what is occurring. Because once you start having that reaction, then you're no longer watching. It's a fascinating technique, and I want you to try it. I'm sure you all are going to. Just notice how much power is available to you in any situation. What happens to me is that when I'm using this technique, if I'm not willing to let go of my preconceptions about what this should be, or what I think I want, or what I think is possible, there's less of an opportunity for the infinite to observe through me, because I'm now projecting. If I'm projecting, I've interfered with the infinite. To the degree that I'm willing to suspend my mechanism of projection, having a judgment about the situation or even a preference about the situation, I've stopped the observation. I've shut down the observation, which is my free will to do. We have free will in our lives, and the infinite's not going to come in and do it for us. But if we use a technique such as this one, I'm watching, we are aligning ourselves with the power that can, through its observation, change everything into the divine design. To the degree we are willing to suspend our judgments and our need to project onto the screen of space, we can watch as the infinite changes it on our behalf. It's fascinating on so many levels. The primary level that's fascinating about it is, how come I didn't know about this before? How come I didn't know that I could just sit back and watch things work? Sit back and watch things get repaired and readjusted and retuned. So that's fascinating. But I think even more fascinating than that is watching how we try to dismantle it once we recognize how it works. Watching how we don't want to see things work out for the highest good. We don't want to see that. We are so much more impressed with our ability to project something onto the screen of space or have a judgment. In the midst of doing this exercise, I'm watching, allowing the observation of the infinite to work through you. You need to suspend all of that. The interesting part of that is that the infinite is still working through our preferences. The infinite wants us to be happy. And you can prove this to yourself. Let's say you're working a spell. You want a specific amount of money. Maybe you are going to pay all your debts off, or maybe you want to go on a vacation, or whatever it is. So you've cast your spell. You've made it clear to both your deep mind and to the infinite what you want, although the infinite already knew what you wanted. Then your job is really to get out of the way and allow it to manifest in its highest way possible. Of course, the infinite wants you to have what you want, and it wants you to have what you want in the highest way possible. So maybe there's even more money for you. Maybe there's even a better vacation for you. Maybe it's even better than you could have ever imagined. It's always going to be better. Maybe you'll find a way to work things out that you don't need that money. Maybe you decided that without this money, you couldn't have things work out. But maybe that money is actually a burden and things will work out in a better way without that particular thing happening. Who knows? But the infinite knows. So once you've done your spell, you've done your part. You've planted the seed. Everything's working the way it needs to work. Your job is to get out of the way and let the infinite do its thing. One way that you can do that is, once you've planted that seed, get into the observing mode, get into the I'm watching mode. Then you are watching as it's manifesting without any judgment. Without any judgment. When you're looking under the covers and saying, is it here yet? Is it here yet? That's not I'm watching. That's I'm interfering. But if you're just saying I'm watching, you're watching as the infinite's power of observation through you starts to change things, both in time and space, in order for you to have the very thing that you want most in its highest manifestation. And the only way that you'll ever know that this is true is not because you believe me, but because you put it to the test and you try it out for yourself. I'm watching. I'm watching is one of the most powerful tools I can share with you. It pulls you out of the driver's seat and allows the infinite to be in the driver's seat. There used to be this bumper sticker that was super popular, I think maybe the mid to late 80s. God is my co-pilot. And I remember thinking to myself, why would you want God to be your co-pilot? Wouldn't you rather be the co-pilot? Wouldn't you rather God be in charge? And then God teaches you and tells you what to do, and you know at every moment of time and point of space what your part is in the achievement or the manifestation of your desires? Rather than saying, God, I'll let you know when I need help. We talk about intuition, and we say, ask to be guided and led. This is a very practical way that you can implement that. I'm watching. I'm watching. You can ask the infinite, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to handle this? What's in front of me? And then you just go into that mantra. I'm watching. And when you're watching, you'll know because you'll be in the moment. It's almost as if you don't have to make a choice. Your hands are guided. Your words are guided in the moment. I used this once. Something was toppling over and it would have just been awful. It would have been expensive, would have been just the worst. Instead of reacting to it, I remembered going into the mantra, I'm watching, and it was like everything that I did wasn't my normal reaction to the situation. And I just kept, I'm watching, and I kept doing as I was led to do in the moment, and the whole thing got cleaned up and nothing was destroyed. Everything was fine. In a crisis, if you're going through it with the I'm watching attitude, the infinite's working through you, and you do things that are seemingly superhuman sometimes, at least compared to how you normally react to situations. I'm never that effective. I'm always the one that drops it and breaks it and spills it and all of that. When that mantra, I'm watching, is where my mind is focused, I respond to those situations very differently. The ego is afraid of I'm watching. The ego does not want to be watched. When you notice that you're being distracted and your mind is wandering and you keep coming back to I'm watching in any situation, the ego dissolves. It has no power. The only thing that's influencing that situation is the observation of the divine through you. And remember what divine observation does. It changes things so that they conform to the divine design, the way that they are meant to be. And once we understand that, we get a very visceral experience of the idea that the infinite's will for us is happiness. The infinite's will for us is prosperity, is love, is joy, is satisfaction, is fun, all of the things that we love. All of the qualities of the infinite are what the infinite wants for us. There's nothing that the infinite wants to withhold from us. And once we can allow that divine observation to happen through us, those things have a vehicle to manifest for us. And the infinite's happy that we have preferences, that we cast spells, that we do all of those things. The infinite's happy about that. But then the infinite's response is, why don't you let me give it to you? This is a vehicle to allow the infinite to give you the things that you keep asking for. This one small little phrase, I'm watching. Give it a good try, an honest try for a week or two, and see if things don't change in ways that are uncanny. I think you're going to be very happy. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.